State football hit the road to take on Ohio. Do the Flashes finish on top?
And Maryland stayed close through one half against the Buckeyes on Saturday, but could they do it for two?
And the Browns may have been on a bye, but a lot of craziness went down in Week 5. All this and much more coming up on Sports Corner, which starts right now. Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Sports Corner. I'm Liv Sharp. That's Blake Goloja. And for Kent State football, this past Saturday was a big test.
They traveled to Athens to take on the Ohio Bobcats, a team many people picked to win the MAC in the preseason. Let's
go to Peden Stadium for the action. First and 10 for the Bobcats. Curtis Rourke hits a wide-open Miles cross for the 25-yard passing touchdown, and the Bobcats now lead it 7-0. Athens is rocking. It is always a party down there at OU. Moving right along, Micah Limo drops back looking for a man, and Krishawn McCray leaves that defender in the dust as he snags this catch and walks in untouched for the touchdown, and we are all tied up at 7. 4 minutes left to play in the half. Rourke runs to his left, plants and fires to Sam Wiglis, who falls into the end zone. And KSU doesn't think that's a touchdown, but it will be. Ohio retakes the lead, and they will not give it back. Third and goal with 40 seconds in the second. Rourke evades pressure, looks for an open man, but decides to take it in himself for 6. The Bobcats now lead 21-7. First and 10, Rourke fakes the handoff and launches the ball to Cross, who bobbles it but reels it in that upper corner of the end zone. This game is as good as done, but let's get one more OUTD. Rourke hands it off to Bangura. This is the first of his 2 touchdowns of the night. And OU, oh yeah, they rout the Flashes 42-17. Here's head coach Kenny Burns on the loss.
Played a great game and really well coached, and you can see why they're a championship caliber team. They do things the right way. They don't beat themselves. And we've got a lot to learn from them and how they play the game. I thought we played a couple good quarters, but again, didn't put a complete game together at all. And we got to learn from it and get better. Our team's got to do a little bit of soul searching and find out who we want to become, and then start working towards that. Yeah, I just thought Mike did nothing wrong. I had in my mind already that I wanted to give Tommy a shot and see if we can get a spark on offense a little bit. And I thought Tommy came in there and did a good job and got the chains moving, and we'll go back and reevaluate it. But just nothing Mike did wrong. Just again wanted to give Tommy a chance to see if we can spark the offense a little bit. They got a really good O-line, and they did a good job. They knew that was our strength, and they took it out of it a little bit. They max protect and made sure they had 6 or 7 guys in there blocking, and we were singled up on the outside. So they did a good job, and our D-line got neutralized today, and they got to go back and find out why and find a way to play harder and better. But that group's a very determined group, so I know they'll take pride in their work and come back next week and play better.
Some stats from that game: Alimo barely breaking that century mark once again. Thomas 67 yards. McCray, one of the bright spots of the day with 93 yards and 2 tutties. Rourke on the other side had a great game, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. Navarro added on 65 yards and Cross with 125.
Kent State soccer got back in the win column as they took down Central Michigan at home yesterday 3-1. Elisa Arthur, Emma Barnett, and Josie Morgan all had goals in the match, and goalkeeper Sarah Melian had 5 saves. This is the first win for the Flashes in October as they fell on Thursday at the hands of Ball State 3-1 in Muncie, Indiana. Looking ahead, Kent State will hit the road to face the #1 team in the MAC standings, Bowling Green, on Thursday before heading home on Sunday to take on Northern Illinois.
Teeing it up on the course, the Kent State men's team are off this week as they prepare for the Quail Valley Intercollegiate. The tournament will take place in Vero Beach, Florida, a week from today, and will be the last tournament for Kent State of the fall season. In their 3 tournaments, Kent State has finished in 2nd, 8th, and 7th, respectively. Follow us across social media at TV2 KSU Sports for updates.
Shifting things over to women's golf, the team had their best finish of the season at the Evie Odom Invitational as they finished 2nd. Leon Takagi and Noramul Nuxila placed 3rd and 4th, respectively, catapulting Kent State to the top of the leaderboard. As a team, the Flashes led the tournament in pars with 177 over the course of 3 days. Kent State will compete in their final tournament of the fall this weekend at the Mercedes-Benz Invitational hosted by the University of Tennessee.
Going over to field hockey, Kent State dropped their 2 games this past week. On Friday, they went to Boone, North Carolina to take on Appalachian State and lost 2-1 in a shootout. On Sunday, the Flashes welcomed in Ohio State and the Buckeyes left Kent with a 3-0 win. Kent State will look to get back in the win column with a 2-game homestand this week starting on Friday against Miami and Sunday versus Lock Haven.
Taking things over to the Mack Center, Kent State volleyball fell short in both of their home games in 3 sets. Thursday saw Western Michigan take down KSU, but a special moment for the Flashes occurred as sophomore Mackenzie McGuire recorded her 500th kill as a member of Kent State. Friday saw a loss to Northern Illinois as the Huskies had a hit percentage of over 400 in all 3 sets. The Flashes will look to get back on track as they will host Bowling Green for a doubleheader Friday and Saturday.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Josh Aponte, and only with a few weeks left in the high school football regular season, teams are now preparing for the playoffs. But one team hasn't been in that position in years. That team, in fact, being the Twinsburg Tigers. Here's a fun fact from Twinsburg Athletic Director Brian Fantone. The last time the Tigers made the playoffs by playoff points was back in 2011, more than 10 years ago. This year, if Twinsburg can win out or even take 2 of the 3 games left in the season, a playoff appearance will be in store. And with that being said, let's take it down to Tiger Stadium. And the North Royalton Bears are visiting Tiger territory, but it looks as if the Bears are going to claw their way into the end zone first with a quarterback sneak by Joe Kinney, but that will not be the only time that North Royalton has the lead. Aiden Stasinski with the rushing touchdown. And you know what? So nice, do it twice. Aiden Stasinski in the end zone again for T-Burg. T-Burg will take the lead 14-7, but the Bears will come roaring back with a dime from Joe Kinney, from Joseph Calerico to tie things up at 14 early in the second quarter. But Joey Pollock wants to get out on that throwing action too, and he will find C.J. Leiden right down Ravenna Road, but he'll be tackled right before the pylon. So Twinsburg will go with their old reliable Aiden Stasinski yet again to push right through that line in the end zone to give the Tigers the lead again to 21-14. And who else to extend that lead more other than Aiden Stasinski? Aiden, how many touchdowns was that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 touchdowns, and the Twinsburg Tigers are knocking at victory's door. But not yet, because North Royalton will make this a close one with a touchdown to Luke Kaprowski. But it is not enough, as the Tigers will go on to win it all in nail-biting fashion to a final score of 31-28. And now, that was quite a game, guys. I mean, I must say, it was insane to be there.
Absolutely. And Josh, it's been a long time since the Tigers have been to the playoffs. Do you think they can pull it off this year?
Absolutely, I think they can. After that win against North Royalton, Twinsburg has 2 more games ahead of them. The first being Brecksville Broadview Heights, which will be a tough matchup, I will admit. But good news for the Tigers, because their last game will be against the Stowe Bulldogs, whose record is only 1-7. And I think that's going to be an easy win, guys. The Tigers will absolutely win that game, guaranteed. Overall, I think the Tigers' odds are in their favor, and I think it's time to break that playoff drought.
Now, Josh, if the Tigers do make the playoffs, where do you see them ending up?
Well, they will most likely be matched up with a higher-seeded opponent in the first round, so I am predicting a first-round exit, but the future is bright in Twinsburg. The Tigers will be losing some key pieces like running back Aiden Stasinski, but quarterback Joey Pollock is only a junior. Plus, Twinsburg's JV team has been phenomenal this season with a record of 7-1. I feel like these guys are ready to take the leap to the varsity level, and next year the Tigers can go on a run. But for now, the playoffs are on the Tigers' horizon.
Thank you so much, Josh. Well, speaking of high school football, let's take a look at some more high school football scores. Wadsworth routing Stowe 49-7. Cleveland Heights and Medina, high-scoring game. Heights won that one 62-52. Field beating Coventry 35-10. Aurora taking down Roosevelt 45-7. And Hudson just barely eking by the Nordonia Knights 17-14. College football season is ramping up. We'll go campus to campus after the break.
And I think one of the craziest moments from this fashion month is the Balmain heist.
I think that's the main difference with Sour and Guts, is that Sour is like heartbreaking because she got heartbroken from someone else.
Yeah.
Guts,
So good. Like, she's been in the gym. She looked beautiful.
Love
so
it.
I loved that.
Catch The Blur Tuesdays at 9 p.m. TV2 Entertainment. See what's up.
Welcome back. We enter week 5 of the college football season, and it did not disappoint. Kicking things off with OH, say with me, IO. Let's go to Maryland as they are taking on Ohio State. Maryland in the red zone. Talia Tagovailoa looking, pump fakes and fires to Caden Prather with the one-hand snag, looking like Odell in his prime as the Terps take a 7-0 lead. That's some clear PI by the Buckeyes, but hey, Prather reels it in nonetheless. We move ahead to the second. Maryland leads 10-0. Tagovailoa looking like his big bro as he turns the ball over to OSU safety Josh Proctor, and that's a pick 6 as OSU gets on the board with a defensive touchdown. Maryland trying to shake it off on 2nd and goal. Tagovailoa with a little magic as he runs untouched through the Scarlet Sea, turns on the Jets and gets into the end zone. Maryland takes a 17-10 lead in the third, and rumor has it he is still running laps in the shoe. Now it's 1st and goal for the Buckeyes. Kyle McCord pitches it to Chip Trainum, who cuts around to the edge and gets the TD, celebrating with the Buckeye faithful, and we are all knotted up at 17, moving right on to the 4th. Here comes the Buckeyes. McCord on the run, connects with Cade Stover, and he makes a man fall. I'm not really sure what happened there, but hey, he still gets the 44-yard touchdown. The Buckeyes are up 27-17. McCord with 295 yards on the day. Let's tack on 17 more to Marvin Harrison Jr. to put this one in the books. Touchdown Buckeyes. They come roaring back to win 37-17.
Great game by the Buckeyes in the second half. Now we're going to go over to the Red River rivalry game, Texas versus Oklahoma, and oh man, it was a good one. Starting it off with the Sooners, Dylan Gabriel, a 9-yard touchdown run, getting Oklahoma on the board first. He had 113 rushing yards on the day, but Texas special teams gets that touchdown right back. Malik Muhammad blocks that punt, grabs it himself, and he gets 6 for the Longhorns, and the faithful are loving it. Now, we've seen the defense. Let's see the offense. Quinn Ewers finds a wide open Gunnar Helm. Touchdown, Texas. They retake the lead 14-7, but Oklahoma's up 20-17 here. Oklahoma's going to add on there as Towie Walker bulldozes in for a 1-yard touchdown. Texas, back and forth game we go. Jonathan Brooks makes one cut, and he has a house call. 29 yards to tie it up in the fourth quarter. This was a great game for Brooks. 22 yards for 129 yards and that touchdown. Here, Gabriel, time winding down, and he finds Nick Anderson. Anderson's only catch was the biggest one of the day, as that gives them the lead. Ewers, last chance. Zeros on the clock. Hail Mary, that arm strength, he gets it there, but it's smacked down. Oklahoma takes this one and catapulting themselves into that college football playoff discussion, winning it 34-30.
Sooner, Abe Blake. Hey, well, let's get into a cat fight. Missouri hosting LSU. Let's go. Brady Cook at QB drops back, floats it over to Theo Weiss Jr. for 6. They know LSU is a high-scoring team, so they decide to go for 2. Cook looking to throw, but takes it in himself and dives for 2. Mizzou now leads 8-0. We jump ahead, and Mizzou now leads 15-7. They're in the red zone again. Cook with a flip to Brett Norfleet, and that's his only reception. But hey, 1 reception, 1 touchdown sounds like a good stat line to me. Mizzou leads 22-7. The LSU Tigers trying to roar back. Jaden Daniels fakes the handoff and takes a deep shot 42 yards downfield to Brian Thomas Jr. and LSU takes his 27-25 lead. Daniels on 3rd and 3 with a QB draw, puts the pedal to the metal, gets the first down, and gets brought down in the end zone. Now LSU is going to go for 2. To break the tie, Daniels hits Malik Neighbor, and now LSU is up by 3. But Mizzou isn't going down. Cook hands it off to Cody Schrader, who bullies his way into the end zone, and Mizzou regains the lead with under 6 minutes to play. Daniels trying to push LSU back ahead, backing up out of the pocket, fires 29 yards to Neighbor, who is wide open and just walks into the end zone for the touchdown. LSU leads by 3 with 3 minutes left. But Mizzou on a hope and a prayer. Cook on 2nd and 10, backed up in his own end zone, is picked and it is intercepted by Major Burns with a pick six to seal it for LSU. The Tigers' phone is ringing, and it's a house call. LSU wins it 49-39. Blake, how about those Aggies?
Well, it's been a lot of great games so far, and those Aggies did not disappoint as they have Alabama hosting them. And we're going to get some brotherly love in this first possession as Max Johnson's going to find his brother Jake Johnson for 6. That's the second time they've hooked up this season. And, those Bama guys are not liking that touchdown. Doesn't matter, still counts. Le'Veon Moss going to run it right up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown. Aggies taking the lead in the third quarter. Still the third quarter. Jalen Milroe is going to have a lot of time in the pocket and deliver a dart to Jermaine Burton, who had himself a day, and he's telling the Aggie faithful to quiet down just a little bit. He had 197 yards on the day, and not one but 2 touchdowns for Burton, both in the third quarter, both giving Bama the lead, and they're going to hang on to win it 26-20.
Now it's Georgia taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. Bulldog QB Carson Beck on play action, looking downfield and connects with Marcus Rosemi-Jacksaint. Jacksaint with 99 yards. Here's 40 of them. Georgia is going to take a 7-0 lead early in the first quarter. Now it's Georgia in the red zone on 1st and 10. Beck fakes the handoff, then fires to Ra Thomas for a 15-yard touchdown. The Wildcats say it's incomplete, but let's take a slower look. Thomas has the ball and just barely gets 1 foot down right by that pylon, but that's all you need in college football. Jump into the third. Georgia up big, so Beck passes to big man Brock Bowers. Bowers with 132 yards and 1 touchdown. This one right here. Georgia started strong and just never let up, getting a big dub, 51-13. Blake, let's close this out with some Fighting Irish highlights.
Yep, and they took on Louisville here. And it was going to be Sam Hartman. He did not have the best night, and he's going to throw it up to Quinston Riley, picking it off. Let's watch this one again as Riley just overpowers receiver Rico Flowers Jr. there. And now Louisville set up in the red zone. Jack Plummer steps up, and he's going to find Jamari Thrash all alone. Look at this once again. That terrific corner route by Thrash left the Fighting Irish in the dust. Hartman, he did have some good throws on the day, and this was one of them. A beautiful throw right over to Jordan Faison, and the Irish tie it up. But there was some mishandling here. This trick play between Hartman and Chris Tyree. It's going to fumble, and it's going to be recovered by Jarvis Brownlee. And all of a sudden, Louisville is set up in a great position. Oh, man, you just can't have that happen. Still 7-7. We're going to go to the third quarter. Second half. Ball must be slippery as Thrash grabs the reception. He's going to lose it, and Notre Dame's going to recover it. Back and forth we go. Now, Cardinals needing a big play, and Jawar Jordan's going to deliver, finding nothing but green in front of him, a 45-yard house call. Louisville taking the lead 17-10. Jordan 143 yards on 21 carries, and it's going to be him again, scoring, making it 24-13 in the fourth quarter. It was all Louisville right now. Hartman trying to quiet them down. 27-13, last breath of air. It's picked off once again, overthrowing his receiver, and Devin Neal is right there for the interception, setting Louisville up at the 10-yard line. Now, 30-13, they held him to that field goal, needing a lot of points in a little time. Hartman gets stripped, sacked, ball, turnover. Jeff Brom. With head coach Jeff Brom winning this one, 33-20. Great job. First year as a head coach, doing very well.
Now let's take a look at the AP Top 10. Georgia at 6-0. Michigan knocking on the door at 6-0 as well. Ohio State at 5-0. Florida also at 5-0. Oklahoma rounding out that top 5. Penn State, the Nittany Lions at 6. Washington at 7. Oregon at 5. Texas, the only team with a loss in the top 10 at 5-1. And USC rounding out the top 10. All right, Blake. Well, I know we had a lot of fun last week doing All Pro or Hell No, so we're bringing it back this week, college football style. This is from our friends at 92.3 The Fan. I'm going to tell you an overreaction. We're going to start big. Shedeur Sanders right now is the front runner for the Heisman Trophy.
And I'm going to start with a big hell no on that. I got a whole list I could keep going. I got Caleb Williams in front of him, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, just to name a few. I mean, you can't say he's a Heisman frontrunner when he doesn't win the big games. I mean, he lost to Oregon, got killed by Oregon, lost to USC, to another Heisman hopeful in Caleb Williams, and almost lost to Arizona State. And he still had the audacity to go flex on the student section when they just escaped an unranked loss. I mean, no way, no way.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm saying a big hell no. I think more likely it'll be that Caleb Williams goes back-to-back. But right now, my front runner is Penix, and I'm going to throw some stats at you. I don't want to misquote these. He leads the nation with 11.2 yards per pass and has 399.8 passing yards per game. He's the first national. He leads the nation in offense and yards per play. He's thrown 16 touchdown passes and only 2 interceptions. I mean, come on. The guy, I think Penix is more of a lock than Sanders is. Moving along, this one I liked a lot. Speaking of locks, Georgia is a lock to win the Natty. They're just going to steamroll their way to the playoffs, no doubt about it. Georgia wins the Natty.
I'm going to go all-pro on this one. Definitely to get to the Natty, maybe not to win it. I'll definitely say all-pro to get there. I mean, they have a pretty easy schedule this year. It's going to help them out. Their hardest game remaining is against Ole Miss, and their biggest win so far is against Kentucky. And it was still a big win. We can't say anything bad about Kentucky. They've been legit this year. But they should be easily getting into the playoffs. And once they get into the playoffs, it's definitely going to get a lot harder with especially teams like Michigan, maybe Ohio State, and other guys sneaking into there. But I still think Georgia is just a step ahead of everybody else right now.
I'm predicting a Georgia-Michigan Natty, but I think that Michigan is going to take that. I mean, Michigan, we know that last year they were a really run-heavy offense, but this year it's kind of started to click. J.J. McCarthy has sort of found his rhythm, and they're honestly the only team that I feel is playing as a complete team now. They have had a pretty easy schedule, but they've got a rough road ahead of them, but I think that Michigan has the strength to take down Georgia, but we're just going to have to wait and see.
That'll be a great game.
And finally, is the Alabama dynasty over?
I'm going to go hell no on that one.
Okay.
I mean, Nick Saban, the standard he sets is crazy already. I mean, he had, from 2009 to 2017, they won 5 championships in there. Since then, they've only added on 1. So we could say that maybe the dynasty ended back then, but I don't think so. I still think they're a very good team, and I think those NIL, all that new stuff is coming along. Saban's an old school coach, so he still maybe takes a little longer to get used to that. Once he gets those NIL deals down and gets the transfer portal working, I could definitely see Alabama already being in that college football playoff talk early as next year.
Wow. You know what? I could honestly see that. You know, transfer portal, that's a coach's best friend. But I personally am going to say all pro. Not necessarily that the dynasty is dead, but I'm afraid it's slowly dying. I mean, the Nick Saban offense that we're seeing right now is not what we're used to. I mean, the last few seasons have just been really subpar. And although I know that Nick Saban is a coach that can certainly turn around a rough season, I just don't know how it'll turn out with all the QB struggles that we've got going on this year.
It is. It's a big question mark there. And the AFC North is heating up between the Ravens and Steelers. Find out who came out victorious when we return.
Okay.
Sing. And Tommy can't dance. So we're gonna put some ants in their pants. Aww.
Kids will spend 22 minutes watching us, the super duper party troopers, sing about ants in their pants.
Isn't that funny? Ants in their pants, they got ants in their pants, they've got ants in their pants.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Welcome back. Week 5 of the NFL is coming to its conclusion today, so let's look back to yesterday's games, starting in Arizona. Joe Burrow still looking for that breakout game this season, and boy, did he have a good one today. We're going to start. Watch Jamar Chase at the top of your screen. He's going to make such a great move, and he left that Cardinals cornerback behind him, and that's his first touchdown. Trust me, you will see him a few more times here. Josh Dobbs. He's going to have some time in the pocket, hit while he thrown, but still delivers a great ball to Hollywood Brown. 61 yards and a touchdown for Brown on the day, tying it right back up. 14-10 now, Arizona in the lead, but they're backed up, and oh no, Cam Taylor-Britt picks off Dobbs, and he's going to take it back for maybe one of the easiest pick sixes in his career, only having to run about 10 yards to get there. Joe Burrow, watch this throw. Bengals fans, you've been waiting for this. Jamar Chase all day. Another touchdown, number 2 for him, as it's 23-14, 24-14, and now James Conner got hurt, so Amari DiMaccardo's taken over, and he gets an 11-yard touchdown run here, closing that gap to 20-24 as Matt Prater missed the extra point. Now we're going to get the hat trick for Chase here, as he just runs right across to the back of the end zone and finds the open spot, winning this one, Bengals 34-20.
Nothing like a good AFC North matchup to get things started. We are scoreless with 6:20 left in the first. Lamar Jackson hands it off to Justice Hill. He cuts around the pile, and there's a quick jaunt to the end zone, and the Ravens take a 7-0 lead. Look at that. He just circumvents that pile, and there's a clear lane to the end zone. To the second we go. Jackson feels the pocket collapse and dumps it off to Hill, and he's shifty as he avoids a tackle, but here comes the king of the AFC North, Larry Ogunjobi, with a tackle. He strips the ball, and Monte falls on it. Jordan Stout trying to punt for Baltimore, but Miles Killebrew busts through the O-line to block it, is recovered for a safety. 3rd and goal for the Ravens. Jackson looking right, throws, and Joey Porter Jr., welcome to the NFL. His first career pick comes at a great time, under a minute and a half to play. What's Matt Canada got drawn up? Doesn't matter, because Kenny Pickett calls an audible and launches a deep bomb to George Pickens, 41 yards downfield. The Steelers lead 14-10. Lamar has 70 seconds. What can he do? Sadly, not much. Up comes Alex Highsmith for the strip sack, and TJ Watt scoops it up, and he gets a solid 18 yards before Lamar gets a tackle. Guess he can run, he can throw, and now he's a deep boy candidate. Hope one of those will work out for him, and that will do it in the Steel City. The Steelers win 17-10, and they are now first in the AFC North.
What's going on? I'm Katie Waggle. Let's go around the NFL and take a look at this past week's games. Back-to-back weeks, we start in London. Buffalo Bills taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, here we go. Jacks are going to open this game with an early connection, and we're going to go and see between Trevor Lawrence and Zay Jones, giving them a 7-0 lead. Then the Bills fire back as the first half closes out with a 23-yard pass touchdown brought down by Diggs. Bills defense forces a fumble from an unexpected Lawrence, but don't worry, they just come in there, but right back again. The Bills are not done yet. On the other end of the field, 6-yard run, the Jags. And of course, we have a frustrated Allen walking off frustrated on the other end of the field with a 6-yard run. The Jags add 7 to their lead. But the Bills are not quite done yet with another 20-plus yard pass. Even with the flags on the play, Bills cut down the Jacksonville lead. And again, as the game is coming to an end, Trevor Lawrence hands off the ball to wind down the clock, but no, Travis Etienne takes it from 35 yards out for the touchdown. But Buffalo has to hustle, trying, pushing. Josh Allen takes it over himself. However, it was not enough. Final score, Jags 25, Bills 20.
We head out to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Texans visiting the Falcons. We all know Desmond Ridder doesn't lose at home. Let's see how he fares. Ridder fakes the handoff, takes off, scrambling to the outside. He's got the edge and the touchdown. The Falcons lead 7-3 in the first. Fast forwarding to the fourth, Ridder flips it to Bijan Robinson, who puts the Falcons ahead 14-12 with 12-12 left in the second. 3rd and 9 for the Texans. CJ Stroud is looking to the end zone and connects with Dalton Schultz, and this one is coming down to the wire. The Texans lead by 1, but the Falcons have an ace up their sleeve, and Young Wei Koo, with 1 second left from 37 yards out, drills it through the uprights to win it. The Falcons get the win 21-19 over the Texans.
And Jared Goff and the Lions hosting the Carolina Panthers. And no Jahmyr Gibbs, no problem for the Lions, as David Montgomery had himself a day. 109 yards and a touchdown, including this 42-yard scamper to the house, putting the Lions ahead 7-0 early. Sam Laporta wants to get on the action here. The second-round pick from Iowa had himself a day also. Not one, but 2 touchdowns for him. 14-0 Lions. Bryce Young trying to stay in this one, and it's another tight end getting in on the action. Tommy Tremble catching this one from 1 yard out. Well, little trickery by the Lions here as we got a double flip back to Goff, and it's Sam Laporta wide open. 27-7. Lions just tacking it on, and they're going to keep going. Goff pushes himself into the end zone. Efficient on the day was Goff, 20 for 28, 4 total touchdowns. Craig Reynolds going to put a little cherry on top to a dominant Lions win with that 5-yard touchdown runs. They win at 42-24 and improve to 4-1.
But then here we go. The Giants and Dolphins meet at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami starting in the second quarter. Davon Achan breaks away for a 71-yard touchdown. The Dolphins go up 14-0. Achan finished the game with 151 yards on 11 carries. After the first 2 minutes, warning, Tua Tagovailoa throws a pick in the end zone. There's no one to stop Jason Pinnock. He takes it in the distance, scores a defensive touchdown to make it a 14-10 game going into the half. After the break in the pocket, Tua finds Tyreek Hill, who takes it the distance for a 69-yard touchdown. Hill's just too fast for anyone to keep up. Later in the third quarter, Raheem Mostert breaks away for a gain of 25 yards. At the goal line, Mostert gets the ball again for the touchdown. He finished with 65 yards as part of the Dolphins' 222 rushing yards for the game. The Dolphins win 31-16.
Let's head out to SoFi Stadium, where the Rams are hosting the NFC champions, the Eagles. The Rams coming off a big game last week. 3rd and goal for Philly. Hurts fires, end zone, hits Dallas Goedert for the touchdown. The Eagles lead 7-0. 3rd and goal for the Rams. Matt Stafford fires to Tutu Atwell, who reaches to make the catch and tie things up at 7. LA is now down by 3. Stafford is going to go and drop back deep, and he connects with his number 1 target, Cooper Kupp. Welcome back to the NFL, Cooper. He's got 39 yards right there before he gets taken down inside the 25. 3rd and 10 for the Rams. Stafford uncorks it to Puka Nacua. That's his 2nd NFL touchdown, and he is helping out the Rams in a big way. And straight from Philly, there's the brotherly shove, which is just impossible to stop. The Eagles retake the lead 17-14. Mailata and Kelsey just keep churning those legs to get 6. Stafford with under 3 to play keeps dropping back. Can't find an open man. Hassan Reddick gets the tackle, this time for a loss of 13 yards, and that will do it. The Eagles remain undefeated and beat the Rams 23-14.
And let's head over to San Fran as the Niners battled the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. We'll start with Dak Prescott's lone touchdown. It's Cavante Turman bringing it in on that 3rd and 4. Great ball by Prescott, one of the only ones of the day for him. Now, CMC is going to muscle it in from 1 yard out. That is his 14th straight game with a touchdown. That ties Emmitt Smith for the 4th most games in a row with a touchdown. It's not just CMC on the field. They got George Kittle too, and boy, did he have himself a day. Those Iowa tight ends are showing out. He had 3 touchdowns on the day. That one made it 28-10. Dak, he's going to throw it deep, and he's going to throw it way too deep as he overthrows that receiver right into the hands of Tayshaun Gibson, who's going to return it all the way to the 37-yard line, setting up San Francisco once again. We're just going to get everybody on the board here for the Niners, as it's going to be Kyle Juszczyk snagging his first touchdown of the season, extending that lead to 35-10, and nothing going right for Dallas as this ball was deflected and taken by Fred Warner. He had himself a day. 8 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception for the linebacker. Now, the Cowboys defense looking like their minds are already on what's for dinner post-game as Jordan Mason waltzes in from 26 yards out, making it 42-10, and that would be the final score. They improved to 5-0 on the year, and they travel next week to Cleveland.
All right, Katie, at week 5, who do you think were some winners and losers this week?
Some winners and losers, of course. So I'm going to start with our loser, I think, for this week. I believe a loser for this week was definitely the Texans. It was disappointing to see them fall to the Falcons. I was really hoping more for them. I truly feel like this was just a little falter. They'll come back next week even stronger. A winner for this week, I would have to say, was the Bengals. Seeing them be able to rise up against the Cardinals was super exciting, especially seeing Jamar Chase getting touchdowns and being able to win. That was exciting.
Now, Katie, as we saw, Sunday Night Football became Sunday Night Blowout. Was this more of a Niners win or a Cowboys loss?
It's a very good question. I feel like it's a mixture of both. I feel like the Dallas Cowboys really had an opportunity there, but with their defense just falling apart, Trayvon Diggs being out with an injury, I just feel like they just couldn't hold it together. However, on the 49ers side, they were very powerful impact. They had all the receivers, they had all the right plays, all the right calls. I don't know, this 49ers team almost feels like unstoppable.
And speaking of San Fran, they're going to come to Cleveland this week. What do you think the Browns need to do to prepare for the contest?
Oh, the Browns, I feel like there is two strong things the Browns need to do as they get ready for this contest. Number one, they need a healthy Deshaun Watson. If he's not going to be in this game, the Browns have no chance. I'm sorry, the 49ers, their defense is way too strong. However, another thing that they need to do on the Browns side of the defense is they need to be able to keep pressure on Purdy. If Purdy can't do nothing in the pocket, the 49ers can't do nothing.
Thank you so much, Katie. Well, let's take a look at some Monday Night Football. We have the Packers taking on the Raiders. It's the first quarter, and we are all tied up at 0. The MLB postseason is in full swing. See which team secured a win over the weekend.
Brush, brushy, brush, brushy, brush, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. Let them have your toothbrush so that they can brushy brush your teeth. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Help your teeth stay healthy. Brushy brush with a grown-up every day.
Welcome to my block party. Glad you can make it. I can do this all day. Your moves are just gay.
Using gay to mean dumb or stupid, not cool. Not in my house, not anywhere. It's not creative. It's offensive to gay people. And you're better than that.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Thank you, dear. Well, you're very supple. It's like I was at your age. Back then, I was a sex expert. Used to call me the buttered biscuit. I know about birth control, too. So you can ask me anything, baby.
Bedsider.org has birth control information and a lot more. And it's...
Have you had sex in this car yet?
October baseball is in the air once more, folks. Hello, I'm Pat Sartor, and from Clayton Kershaw having a terrible outing on the mound to 1 seeds falling behind, let's get the ball rolling on October baseball.
For this one, it's the Rangers, it's the Orioles. Here's a 2-out, bases loaded, Aaron Hicks single to right. That one's going to score 2, and it's an early onslaught of offense for the Orioles. Now, top of the second, runners on the corners, no out. Tavares, 2 runs come in. And you're going to see lazy baseball here at the end on the relay. What are we doing? We've got to get this ball in, O's. You'll see it here. Here's the delay. Stop. Now, he's just not paying attention. He's not ready to make the play. More communication needs to be made there for Baltimore. Garcia now, he's going to hit a single up the middle with 1 out and runners on first and second. That is going to score another there. And wait for it now. Mitch Garver, nuke piece to left field. Get up, go. It's a grand slam. And that one's going to kind of blow the socks off the Orioles there a bit, making it 9-2. Later on, Hicks would try his best, and he does here to help with a 3-run home run off Jose Leclerc. To draw within 3, made it close, they tried. In the end here, you'll see Leclerc striking out the struggling Cedric Mullins to get the victory for Texas, as that's Mullins now no hits in 5 straight games, struggling when you definitely don't want him to there.
The Orioles broke first in the scoring, but the 5 runs in the second and 4 runs in the third by Texas was far too much for the Orioles to come back from. From the Orioles, Aaron Hicks had that 2-hit, 5 RBI performance, but Cedric Mullins, we said, now hitless through 5 straight games. Bad time to go cold. Marcus Semien and Mitch Garver proved too much for the O's, combining for 4 hits and 6 ribbies of their own.
Now we've got the Twins and the Astros. The Astros leading the series 1-0. Let's see if Minnesota can bounce back. Runner on first, top of the 6th. Framber Valdez on the bump and Carlos Correa up to bat. That takes a minute to get to the wall, a Minute Maid Park, but that's a double for Correa, and Jorge Polanco scores to put the Twins up 1-0. Moving to the top of the 2nd, Kyle Farmer will crush this ball out to the Crawford boxes in the juice box to put the Twins ahead 3-0. Valdez struggling as we kick off the game here. To the top of the 5th, the bases are loaded. Valdez faces Correa once again, but this time Correa is going to hit a single that drops into center, and Solano and Taylor score. Minnesota starting to pull away 5-0. Rafael Montero on for some relief for the Stros pitching, and Edouard Julian with a single that drops to right. Royce Lewis will score, and Correa is going to try and come home, but a great play by Tucker, and Correa will get tagged out at home. Twins still lead 6-0. Bottom of the 8th, Yordan Alvarez trying to will the Stros back. And attention, ladies and gentlemen, Alvarez has left Union Station. That's a 2-run bomb, and Houston trails 6-2. Duran on to close it out for Minnesota. Pena with a hit to left field and a diving catch by Carlos Correa, who flips it to first, and this one is done. The Twins tie up the series at 1 with a 6-2 win. Let's take a look at some stats. Carlos Correa had a phenomenal game. 3 hits, 3 ribbies. Farmer with a home run. Lewis with 3 strikeouts, and Jose Altuve went 2 for 4. Alvarez went 1 for 4, but he did have that home run, scoring the only Astros runs, and Pena went 2 for 4.
Let's go over to Atlanta in Truist Park. Game 1, Phillies at Braves. Spencer Strider on the bump for Atlanta. He's going to get help from his defense early as the Braves turn a nice 4-6-3 double play to get out of a jam in the first. But Bryson Stott is going to get the scoring going in the 4th as Harper is going to race home trying to beat this throw from Kevin Pillar, and he makes it. 1-0 early for the Phils. Bottom 4, bases loaded. A disgusting splitter from Jeff Hoffman gets Michael Harris swinging, keeping that Phils lead up by 1. The Phils bullpen was locked down today as Sir Anthony Dominguez hurled 1 inning and struck out all 3, including Austin Riley, to get out of the jam. Harper all over this first pitch slider, sending it into the chop house seats. The Phils bench is loving it as Harper had himself a day reaching base all 4 times. Now let's watch this play as the Phillies are going to add an insurance run in the 8th on a questionable catcher's interference call. Everybody's a little confused right now. We're going to take a little look at this. They'll slow it down. As does he make any contact with the glove there is really hard to tell. They're going to go to review on this, and this call is going to stand, and the Braves fans were not happy. The Braves fans were very upset. Threw some refreshments on the field for the players to enjoy. Bottom 8, 2 on, 1 out. Trey Turner makes a diving stop, flips to Stott, who fires it to Harper for an inning-ending double play. Look at this one. That's a beautiful play by Turner to make that turn, and the Phils win this one 3-0. Let's take a few looks at the stats. Stott had a great game, 2 for 3 with a ribby. Harper, as we mentioned earlier, all reached 4 times, 2 for 2 with that dinger. Trey Turner 1 for 4 on the day, and a lot of zeros on the board for the Braves as Acuna went 0 for 3, Murphy 0 for 3, and Olsen getting that lone hit 1 for 4.
Well, why don't we move on to LA where the boys in blue, well, Kershaw there, he does what he does in the postseason. He gives up runs, gives up 1 single there to Corbin Carroll, and that's going to plate 1. And then wait for it, folks. Christian Walker is going to come up to the bat. Here's a 1-run double. There is the beginning of the onslaught against Clayton Kershaw. Inability to pitch in the postseason strikes time and time again for him, and he's never been able to get past it. Now here, it's going to get worse. Gabriel Moreno. No doubt about it! Get up! Way back. It's gone. Kershaw, what are you doing now? That's 6 runs in the first inning. We haven't gotten an out. Let's get it together. One of the best pitchers in the regular season can't get it together. There you see Evan Longoria now. A 1-run double. It continues for Kershaw. It doesn't get any better. You see this continuing throughout, just ruining the game for them in the first inning. Lord, You just see Kershaw there, not even able to handle the ball. It was a rough performance from him. But now here's Corbin Carroll sending one deep to left field. It's a solo home run off of Emmett Shahan in the second, just the second now. A moonshot, and it's 7-0. Moving on, it's Alex Thomas giving up a solo nuke shot here to Michael Grove in the 7th, and that'll make it, why not, 10-0. Unbelievable. Moving on now, and it's the last one of the game. Tommy Pham, home run for the Diamondbacks. Why not? How about another slugging there? You know, we talk about the the Dodgers being so good offensively, but we're not seeing any. Obviously, Kershaw stunk it up, but we didn't see any offense from LA at all, and that's just quite ridiculous. Looking at the stats here for this one, it was mayhem for the beginning. Clayton Kershaw getting shelled by definition. 5 runs scored in just 1/3 of an inning. I can't believe I have to report this, but after Saturday's game, Kershaw 2023 postseason ERA is 162. Kershaw, career postseason now is 4.49, the highest among 31 pitchers who have recorded 100 innings or more in MLB history. Unbelievable.
And we've got the Phillies and the Braves. Their game 2 is going on right now. The Phillies lead 4-3 at the end of the 7th. Well, Pat, do you think the Phillies have what it takes to take down the Braves?
Well, they're the only team that does right now. I think they're the only team that can, and we're seeing it right now. We looked on before this segment here. It was 4-3 Phillies, so they're doing their best to try. If they can go up 2-0, I think that's going to be huge for them. And unbelievable stuff there.
And even though Ohtani missed several games down the stretch, is he still a lock for AL MVP?
I think too much. We saw Ohtani make way too much history throughout the season, made breaking new records. You go on ESPN the day after and they're blowing up. They're saying Ohtani's the first one to ever do this since World War II. I mean, we're just blowing things up. I mean, he's just did a great job this season. Yes, injured late in the half, we get it. Second half of the season, but really, I mean, historical for Ohtani.
And Pat, who is your favorite to represent the American League in the World Series?
Well, it's going to have to be the Rangers. It's going to have to be based on what they've done here. We saw it in the regular season. They did really, really well in the regular season, and they sloughed off there in the second half. But the bullpen, the pitching, the offense from Simeon as well as the others, I think it's going to be too much in the AL. I think Rangers will take it.
Hello, 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 Portage County. I'm Della Fowler, our Paris 2024 analyst in the world of gymnastics. Had a huge weekend, so let's dive right into that. For the past about a week and a half, some of the best athletes in the world competed at the Artistic World Gymnastics Championships. This is the first global gymnastics competition of the season where everybody's trying to make themselves an Olympic name. So, how did the home team do? We'll start off on the team side of things. The women's team took home gold after a really scary game time swap in the lineup. Jocelyn Robertson went down during warm-ups, but that big Florida Gator, Leanne Wong, stepped up with her fabulous bar performance and helped the women continue their dominance on the world stage. On the men's side of things, this was the first time since 2014 that the men took home a medal in a world competition. They had really impressive performances by Asher Kong and Koi Young. They're going to be looking really good. And as for individuals, there is nothing surprising about Simone Biles winning. She became the most decorated gymnast in history, having 5 skills named after her, because I guess a skill per event wasn't good enough for this goat. She successfully landed a Yurchenko double pike, now known as the Biles 2. This is the hardest vault in women's gymnastics and has never been landed on the world stage. Well, until Simone. And for the men's side of things, I've got a bid for man on the Silver Mountain. Fred Richardson, remember his name, the 19-year-old entered the U.S. medal draft for the men's competition, taking bronze in the all-around as well as being stellar. He's this huge beacon of energy on the sidelines, really putting the work in to end that medal drought and bring the men's back into the competition.
So Della, can you catch us up on how Simone Biles goes from pulling herself to the 2020 Olympics to taking names in this latest competition? What happened?
Yeah, so there's a psychological phenomenon known as the twisties. We talk about this especially a lot in gymnastics because of how powerful these athletes' bodies are. Now, if your head is not in the correct standing and not in the correct place mentally, you can actually seriously injure yourself. I'm talking paralyzation. So Simone, being that big veteran presence that she is, she knew her boundaries, and the move obviously paid off. I mean, she's taken names this season so far.
And for the people that don't necessarily watch gymnastics, what's the difference between the men's and women's gymnastics?
Yeah, so it's really discussed around the Olympic community that men's and women's gymnastics are almost completely different sports, which sounds a little crazy, but women have 4 events, men have 6, and the only events that they actually share are floor and vault. but those are so different. They're scored so differently. And gymnastics obviously is all strength oriented. You're hanging stuff on your arms, but the men have more of a focus on strength rather than very balanced focus like women's competitions are generally.
Well, Della, with this dive into U.S. gymnastics, how are you feeling for Paris 2024?
You know, I'm feeling really good about it. How can you not feel good when Simone Biles is on your team? But I have a couple of question marks. I'm really curious where Gabby Douglas is. She made an announcement on social media that she was going to come back and compete in Paris 2024, but we haven't really seen her in a lot of the competitions this far. And I'm really excited to see what the men are doing. They're strong and they're young, and I think they can make a medal run. I don't know if it's time for gold yet in Paris, but 2028, book it.
Thank you, Della. And look at the time. It's almost Crespo coffee hour. Get ready for some hot takes when we return.
Hey, did you know that 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Go to theshelterpetproject.org and search your local shelters and rescues. Go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
You think you're just checking your messages or telling a friend you're on your way. They could be the last words you ever type. Make sure you get where you're going.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Good evening, Portage County. Welcome back to the Crespo Coffee Hour. I'm your host, Nico Crespo, and this week's takes are getting hotter than ever. Let's get right into it. Let's start with the state of Texas. I think the Rangers will make it to the World Series. If you watched last week's edition of the Coffee Hour, I did say the Blue Jays would be in the World Series, and to be fair, that is a hot take, but I was wrong, and I do apologize. Anyways, the Rangers. The Rangers have been on fire since entering the postseason, dismantling the Rays in the Wild Card Series, sweeping them 2-0, and now are up 2-0 on the Orioles. Also, all 4 of the Rangers postseason games have been on the road, so much for home field advantage. Marcus Semien and Corey Seager start that lineup off, and I mean, you can't get a better 1-2 punch than that. Mitch Garver got put into the 3rd spot and hit a grand slam yesterday. I mean, the offense is unreal. They outscored the Rays 11-1 in the Wild Card Series and scored 11 runs yesterday. The offense will do its thing. What about the pitching? Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi can hold down this rotation if they hold the opposing offenses to 2 to 3 runs per game, and they're golden. Plus, if they can get this series over with quick, they might be able to get Max Scherzer back for the rest of the postseason. Now, the only bad spot about this team is the bullpen. They have the 7th worst bullpen in the ERA, most blown saves with 33. So again, the offense is really going to have to carry the squad unless some changes are made with the bullpen. And onto the gridiron, the evil empire, or should I say the not-so-evil empire. Now, the New England Patriots, they need to start battling with the Bears in the tank for Caleb Williams. I'm going to be blunt, the Patriots suck. The Mac Jones experiment has failed, and he needs to go to Atlanta or something so this team can start losing. Well, I guess he doesn't really need to go anywhere because they're losing already, but I mean, this offense has scored 3 points in the last 2 games and gave up 69 unanswered points. Mac Jones got benched in back-to-back games, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Belichick leaves after the season. I'm sure after 2 decades of winning, he's not going to want to go through a rebuild. The Patriots make a lot of sense for Caleb Williams, and if they could get some weapons in the draft and free agency next year, I can see Caleb Williams stepping into the Patriots' next franchise quarterback role. Now, nothing has gone right for this team, and they just traded for J.C. Jackson for some reason, so I mean, the front office has been worse than what the product is on the field. And I mean, at some points, last year, Bailey Zappi was outperforming Mac Jones. Also, another boneheaded move, they paid Juju Smith-Schuster $11 million per year to have 14 catches and 86 yards this season. Patriots fans, the season is over. Expect Caleb Williams on your team next year. It's one of the worst teams to maybe the best team in the league. The 49ers are going to make the Super Bowl this season. This team is just unreal. Watching them last night has me scared of how bad they're going to beat the Browns this week. But my goodness, this team may be the best team in the league. And may I say, a dynasty may be forming right in front of our eyes. The offense, Brock Purdy is making $3 million over the course of 4 years. Purdy hasn't lost in the regular season. I just don't understand. My former fantasy football running back, Christian McCaffrey, has scored a touchdown in 14 straight games. Brandon Ayuk has developed into a true first option wide receiver, and Deebo Samuel is just as shifty as ever. George Kittle looked like his normal self again with 3 touchdowns last night. Didn't like that since I'm facing him in fantasy, but I digress. The Niners defense has been unreal. They have held their opponents to under 17 for 4 of their 5 games, with 2 of those being under 10 points. Fred Warner is the true captain of that defense, and Nick Bosa is the beast, and not undermining the addition to Randy Gregory. 2 great edges, an unreal secondary. This team has no holds. The Niners' only competition are the Eagles, and if Purdy didn't tear his UCL last year, the Niners would have went to the Super Bowl. So instead, they're doing it this season, barring any major injuries. And that's all I got for this week. Have a good night. Coffee enjoys it, and as always, keep sipping.
Thank you, Nico, for those piping hot takes, but don't forget about the ladies. Get ready for empowerment and other weekly segments after the break.
Being a dad can be tough.
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now. But it's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Brew. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Welcome back. Now is the time for Empowerment, where I highlight one story about female athletics that I think needs more attention. And for this week, we're talking about the WNBA. The Las Vegas Aces and the New York Liberty are facing off in the WNBA Finals. The Aces are led by former MVP and current Defensive Player of the Year, Aja Wilson, and the Liberty are led by Breanna Stewart, the reigning MVP. The Aces finished the season 34-6, and New York finished 32-8. Both teams earning the Super Team moniker they've been known by. The Liberty are in the finals for the first time since 2002, which is the year I was born, whereas the Aces are the reigning WNBA champs and have been to the finals 3 times in the last 4 years. The best of 5 series kicked off yesterday, where the Aces took the win. The second game tips off on Wednesday at 9 p.m. So if you're missing basketball, be sure to tune in for a Battle of the Titans and, of course, to support women's athletics. I'll catch you next week for more empowerment.
And welcome back into Blake's Best Bets. Last week we went undefeated as the Rangers easily beat the Rays 4-0, and the Chiefs hung on against the Vikings, winning by 7. I'm going to stick with 1 baseball and 1 football pick, because why fix something that is not broken? On the diamond, I am targeting an underdog win tomorrow for the Houston Astros against the Minnesota Twins. The Stros on the road have been phenomenal this season, boasting a 51-30 record. I think this game will stay close as both teams are sending good pitchers to the bump, but the combination of a terrific road record and the Twins being historically bad in the postseason, there was no way I could pass up Houston as underdogs. Now to the gridiron. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills spread of -14 against the Giants. I don't have much explanation on this one other than if you watched any football this season, you would take this pick too. The Bills are coming back from England with a bitter taste in their mouth after losing to the Jags, and they're going to take it out on this Giants team that have looked absolutely pitiful and been outscored 152-62 through 5 weeks. Good luck, and let's keep this hot streak going.
And my man on the Silver Mountain is the hero of my fantasy team, 49ers tight end George Kittle, who had a spectacular performance against the Niners' rival, the Dallas Cowboys. Between playing rounds of rock, paper, scissors with the camera, Kittle had 3 receptions and 3 touchdowns, and his hat trick added up to 27 fantasy points. He also had the funniest shirt, which he showed off in a TD celebration. I can't say what it says, but please Google it. Kittle had the best performance by a tight end yesterday, and it is great to see the Purdy to Kittle connection is alive and well in the 2023 season. I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of it in the weeks to come.
And for my man on the Silver Mountain, I'm going with Jets offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. The Jets took down the Denver Broncos this weekend, but it was much more than just a win to Hackett. Sean Payton, the current head coach of Denver, said Hackett performed one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL during his stint of less than a year as head coach of the Broncos. Hackett let his work on the field do the talking as the Jets put up over 400 yards of offense, including 234 yards on the ground. As the time was winding down in the fourth, the Jets players and coaches lined up to congratulate Hackett, and after the game, Jets head coach Robert Saleh awarded the OC with a game ball. Sean Payton is definitely regretting those statements as he is sitting at 1-4 as the Broncos head coach, and Hackett was actually 2-3 at the same time last year.
And that is all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in.
For all sports updates, follow our socials at TV2KSU Sports on X and Instagram.
I've been Liv Sharp.
And I'm Blake Goloja. Have a great night, everyone.
The pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. How could you not love him?